Welcome to The Growth Equation. This isn't your typical business podcast. We're keeping it real about the challenges of scaling up, period. I'm Tristan Wright, and I've been there. I've built and scaled my own business. I've sold it. I've learned a ton along the way. Now I'm bringing you the no BS stories of founders who are in the trenches right now, navigating that messy middle. We're talking advertising, marketing, design, creative, branding, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or running a team of 100. Everyone's got a secret sauce. That thing that makes them different, better. We're going to uncover it. So grab a coffee and let's get real. Today we're talking with Cam from Skie Video, director and producer of his own video company. Cam, pleasure to talk to you today, mate. Tell us a tiny bit about you and your business.
Hey, Tristan. A tiny bit about me and my business. 40 years old, born in Australia, been in film production for about 10 years now, and been self-employed for a good 15 plus years.
So you're not originally from film and production
No.
at all. You came into it from a passion kind of thing, didn't you? From memories in the architectural space?
Yeah, so my very first job was in the automotive industry, and then I transitioned into property development and house design, and I did that for 8 years. I wasn't an architect, but I worked with the architects. I was doing more of the consulting, but still everything end to end with the design of the homes and kitchens and bathrooms. So that was really cool. And then, at the age of 30, I was spending a lot of time in the States. I was dating an American girl at the time, and I was going back and forth quite a lot. And I saw a really big opportunity with digital media kicking off, in particular YouTube. And I thought to myself that this is going to be a game changer. So I left my career, I sold my house and my boat and my car and everything, and kind of used all the funds to go all in, setting up a video production company. And I didn't even know how to turn on a camera. I didn't know what ISO meant. I didn't know how to edit or anything like that, but I just thought it'd be a great idea.
So you went all in and you had no idea what you were doing when you went all in?
No idea what I was doing. The only skill that populated across to it really was contract negotiations and sales, for lack of a better word. But I was desperately trying to get away from sales because I felt like I'd done sales roles for most of my life, and I wanted to do something a lot more creative.
Yeah.
And how wrong I was.
You're doing creative, but you've still got a lot of the business operations side of it that you have to do.
It's all sales. I tried to get away from sales and being the owner. And I did have a business partner at one point, and all roads lead to sales. If you don't have sales coming in, or a sales engine, as we called it, then you don't have a business. It's that simple.
Yeah. You may have the best product, but if people don't know who you are, what you do, they're not going to be able to buy from you, are they?
Absolutely. And if you are super creative and have a great service or product, but you can't take that customer through the journey in a way where they feel safe and understand what it is that they're getting, etc., then same result, no sales. So
tell me a bit about your journey. After you decided to go all in on this business idea, but you didn't have any of those skills. Tell me about the journey, the highs, the lows, what's worked, what hasn't.
Yeah, sure. I'm conscious of the audience listening to get to some really good specific points and not go into just, a big story about me. So I think some of the really cool things to touch on would be initially, I went in with grand optimism, which is a beautiful thing. And I made it a point to learn every single part of production that I possibly could. So at the time, I wasn't great with computers. I was okay on computers. I'd grown up around them, but we're talking like professionally now. So I ran at everything that was hard. And one of the biggest obstacles I had was editing. Uh-huh. And I thought to myself, even if I don't want to become an editor per se, at least understand editing so that when I do employ people, they're not going to be able to take the wool over my eyes. And the catalyst for that was, it was around 2013, and I was in Europe for 6 weeks, and I spent about $60,000 on this holiday. Like, it was an epic trip. I did all the things, and I took a couple of GoPros and a Sony mirrorless camera, and I came back with all this footage, and I had no idea what to do with it, how to edit it. So I started to try and find an editor and it was really hard. They were either really, really expensive, or there was some kid out of school and there just wasn't a marketplace to try and find them. So that was an interesting dot connection in the process of me starting my first production company. And then from there, it was a lot of long days, late nights, consistently upskilling every day, setting yourself tasks and challenges and running at them as much as you can. And I did that for 4 or 5 years, basically up until COVID. And that's when it really got interesting. By this stage now, I was quite good at I was getting good at directing. I was not too bad at using a camera. I was a very fast editor, but still not an advanced editor. So I was kind of like mediocre at a lot of things. My real strength was starting to appear as director. And I never got into this with the ambition of being a director. It's happened organically. And then COVID hit, and the business that I had built, which was very face to face and out, boots on the ground, filming, meeting customers, it essentially just come to a grinding halt. And so the whole awareness of an online business really started to appear out of necessity. And I moved up to Sydney from Melbourne during COVID. I did 5 lockdowns in Melbourne. So I didn't work for like, yeah, it was wild. I didn't work for almost 18 months all up. I think I squeezed 2 jobs in, and I got a pass to go out of the ring of steel. And I actually went out of city Melbourne for a few shoots with a permit. But I learned really quickly that telling people that you're from Melbourne and you're out in the country was not a good idea, because they're like, stay away from us. You've got that COVID. Don't bring it here. La, la, la. So that was the whole thing. But I think, again, respecting your audience's ear, the next thing that became aware was, you don't know what you don't know. And this is where I then, for the first time, truly had a mentor. Met this guy during lockdown in Sydney who had spent about $1 million of his own money procuring all of this equipment, like these cameras you see behind me. He had several of them, and he had this giant big LED screen called LED Volume. And it was one of only like 6 in Australia at the time. It's actually what they used to film The Mandalorian on, the Star Wars and things like that. So it's very advanced technology. And yeah, long story short, like this guy, I spent a year and a bit with him roughly, and he ran a team of 400 people for a Silicon Valley tech company, a really big one. It's a competitor to Salesforce. And that's where it really dawned on me that like the big incremental shifts are when you can look at your blockages and look at the areas that you're stuck, and then bring in someone that knows how to work through that with you, and to push through. And that's where the big jump up started to happen. That's where I was able to pivot to having a potentially fully online business if I wanted to, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, love it. So in the support and guidance from someone else allowed you to realize that, yes, you can grow. Yes, you can have a fully online business, that you almost need to remove your limiting beliefs and step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. But what I will say to that is my personal path is I've never had the limiting beliefs, at least not consciously, maybe subconsciously at times for sure. But I've always had I see other people around me with more shiny things than me, or, have built a big, tall building. And I'm like, well, if that guy can do it, why can't I do it? And so I'm like, I want to try and do that. Let's see how far I can push this. And so I blindly back myself. Again, it goes back to how I got into this in the beginning, was just sheer blind optimism. But I think the really important message I want to share there is like, you can be running at something and you can't see what you can't see. You don't know what you don't know. And sometimes, more often than not, engaging with a mentor or engaging with someone who's built a larger business than you or whatever, but has more experience, they can come in and they can see very quickly what's not working, what's missing. And it can be as simple as a couple of words. Like my fiance, who's very successful, when we were talking about my business a while ago, the first thing she did is like, she Googled the company and blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, I can't see you. I can't find you. No wonder your customers can't find you. I can't even find you. And I'm trying to look for you. Like, you don't show up on Google. I was like, yeah, shit. Okay. All right. Google ads, SEO, da, 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 outreach. And that's all great. Was that one sentence? I can't find you. That just clicks. Light bulb goes off again. And then you, re-strategize or pivot or adjust or, add an extra layer of things to do to your daily to-do list.
Yep. Now, you've been on a journey. You've had, I think, at one stage with you when you had your business partner, you had almost 10 people in the business. Was that
Yeah, eight.
8
Eight.
people? So,
Yeah.
and then now you're back down to you and a couple of freelancers,
Mm.
effectively. So I want to hear the highs and lows. What happened through that, and why? What's worked and what hasn't?
Yeah, sure. So coming out of COVID, the mentor I was talking about packed up that whole thing and headed up to Ireland because his wife's from there and she wanted to go back home. And so he said to me and this buddy of mine, he goes, "Yeah, you guys, I think you guys have got this. You should give it a shot." And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, "Well, you know, do we want to go get a shitty job somewhere or do we want to give this a shot?" Like I already knew, period, that I was going to give it a shot anyway.
Mm.
And we were real yin and yang. In fact, we've actually got yin and yang tattoos. We got them at the same time in Vietnam. He's like very analytical, data driven. He was really interested in running ads, things like that. I was much more creative, good at running teams, sales, things like that. So we gave it a shot. We got a office space in WeWork downtown in Sydney, and we started hiring and just started hustling, getting leads from wherever we could. And yeah, we grew the team to 8 at one point full time. We had a copywriter in South Africa who was full time. We had editors in Sydney that were full time. And then our contractor network, we've got about 30 contractors around Australia that do the cinematography and filming and lighting and stuff like that. And I've still got those people. But yeah, it was interesting. Like you always hear hire, slow, fire fast. There is some merit in that. But what I experienced, and this was learnt from my mentor as well, was you can look at all the CVs in the world until you actually put someone on and see their grit. You never really know. Like everyone shows up to an interview trying to impress you and tell you the things you want to hear. So some of my strategies for hiring, especially as a startup, I would not sell them on the position and sell them on the dream. I'd tell them like, this job's going to fucking suck. Like you're working your ass off and it's going to be long days and we've got high expectations and you're going to have to really pull your weight because we're not Google, we're not Facebook. You're not going to just get to sit around and ride the coattails of 300 other employees in your department. Like everyone needs to chip in. And I would always ask confronting or challenging questions in the interviews. And it was really interesting. Some people got like really triggered by it. And that was great because I got to see how they were going to act under pressure and I got to see their personality traits come out. And I was just like, yeah, you ain't getting the job. And we had a few people that got really triggered. And I remember saying to my business partner, nope, absolutely not. You can see that behavior right there. That is going to manifest later and later and later. And it's going to get worse and they'll become an absolute problem for the organization. And that was a good way to vet people. So hiring fast, stress testing them really upfront. I love Elon Musk's question and I do ask it in interviews as well. And I fully like give him credit once I ask the candidate questions. And it's, you know, what's the number one biggest challenge you've ever solved or problem solved at work? And it's such a great question because you actually get to see that person take a minute. And if they've actually done something, they stop, they think about it, and then they're actually able to go, well, I worked for this company and this situation happened and the solution I provided was this and that. And you can unpack that with them. And it's a no bullshit. You can't bullshit through that. If you've not solved any problems at work, you're like, oh, I actually haven't. I've just done my job. And if that's your answer, that's okay. But it's a really great bullshit question to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And I love the fact that you try to scare people off almost in the interview process. So I always tell people especially with senior roles, you want to try them, scare them out of the job.
Yeah, 100%, especially in a little startup, because you just don't have the funding behind you for drawn out legal battles and it just the drain it puts on the company energy wise, you know, as founders, owners, whatever position you're in, just having a bad egg in the company, it's very energy depleting.
Yes. Yeah, totally. And that's the higher, slow, fire fast bit because you're trying to scare people away. So it is easier to fire them fast kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
And you know, like my mentor, when he was putting people on, he had 300 people work for him. So when he was hiring people at that organization, there was a whole process, of course. But even still, when it was like in our little startup studio, he was just like, yeah, give him a shot. Do you like him? I was like, yeah, I like him. I think this person could do well. And he's like, okay, great, give him a shot. And, you know, some of them were great, some of them weren't great, but you just let them go quickly as well and set them free. And you just say to them like, look, it's nothing personal. Just there's a better place for you to be.
Yep. Yep. Totally. Now, you had 8 people and you don't have 8 people today. Change in economy, change in business model, moving across the
Yeah.
country. What's
Business
our story
partner.
there?
Yeah. Business partner decided to call it quits and gave me 2 weeks notice last year. So yeah,
That
it
would have
was,
been shit.
yeah, it sucked. We're actually still good friends. We actually talk quite a lot as well. And he's gone on to do a couple of other things. His heart wasn't in production, even though we were also building like a SaaS product and things like that. But there was just a slight misalignment there. He was a bit younger than me. He was like 7 years younger than me, give or take, or maybe 8 years. And so there was also like he went through a really beautiful maturing lesson with it. And that was that when he left what we had going with Skie, he went to another startup and he kind of was in a different role. He wasn't as high up. And he is like, oh man, all the stuff that you've been saying and like the stuff that I was doing to you and that he's like, it's all kind of happening here again as well. I was like, yeah, bro, like it's just startup. Like you can run away from it as much as you want, but it's work and it's a business and the mechanics of most of them are pretty similar. You've got to work with a
Yep.
team, you need to generate revenue, you need to deliver a product or service really well, and you need to retain customers, get great reviews, and rinse and repeat. You know, doesn't matter if it's paintings, videos, cans of tuna, it's all the same.
Yeah, the skeleton or the framework is relatively similar. It's just
Yeah.
the way it's dressed.
Yeah, literally. It literally is. And I've always thought that, and I said to myself, was like, when I get the blueprint for business, I'll pretty much be able to go and start any business. And I'm getting close to that point now where it's like, okay, I've got the blueprint now. And now I'm looking at other income generation, things like that. But to go back to your question specifically, the economy has changed a bit. There's still plenty of work out there. I'm just running at a low capacity because I'm doing everything myself, had to reestablish everything myself. We don't have any funding. The business is completely funded from sales from videos that we're producing. So I've gone from, having a really great team and scaling towards, a few $1 million a year revenue to just myself having to do everything. But I do still have my freelancer team and I've got a couple of partnerships, which are really fantastic. One of those is a post-production house that I've partnered with, and we're just about to put on for our first casual person this week to help with outreach, which is really exciting.
Awesome.
But then, yeah, they contract and we're in a partnership, which is going really great. And then I've got other partnerships who also give us some work as well through agencies and things like that.
It must have been really humbling for you going from having 8 people back down to where you are now. So, and we interview people that have been at the highs of their journey, the lows of their journey, partway through. And like you're definitely not a high right now. So, like, and that's just where it is. So,
Yeah,
it must have
absolutely.
been humbling for you going from where you were to now.
It was. I say this really lightly. I feel like I've done a lot of work on lowering the ego thing. And that's why we were able to build it to the 8 staff because I didn't go in there going, I want to be the big boss of a company. I want to have all these employees, ego, 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 ego. I went in there going, wow, I can bring all these amazing talented people together. And one of my biggest motivations, Tristan, for this, to be really upfront, is I came into the creative industry not from the creative industry. And I could see straight away that creatives get screwed, right? And we've got this thing now, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, called the creator economy. Have you heard of that
I
terminology?
haven't. So share.
So basically, YouTube was the impetus of the creator economy. And so you've now got a marketplace of full-time creatives, whether they're videographers, photographers, cinematographers, content creators, we call them as well. That's all new. And it's really in its, early stages still. You could maybe call it 10, 12 years old, the creator economy. And creators are learning really quickly how to monetize their work and how to get compensated and remunerated for the work that they do. Because I can tell you this, when we have leads come in or I purchase leads or we do some outreach, even businesses that are willing to spend 50, 80, $100,000 with us on production, the head of marketing and the CEO and whomever, they will have almost no clue about production whatsoever. And we really do hold the hands of a lot of clients through the journey. And my point in sharing that is because the amount of detail we have to go into, it's not justifying our work, but it's explaining it. It'd be like if you were to catch a flight with Emirates and you're going to buy business class or first class ticket. And it'd be like going up to the front check-in desk and going, right, who's the pilot? How many hours have they flown? What are they rated on? Where did they come from? What's their nationality? How many times have they landed? How many times have they done a good landing? How many times have they done a bad landing? And then you get to the airplane, you say to the hostie, hi, so how many times have you served chicken and beef? Right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine? And then going outside the plane and doing the walk around with the captain and being like, so you sure you've got enough gas in the tank? Are you absolutely sure? You've written it down and you've checked, you've gone and got the sticky thing. Like that's the level of detail we often have to go into to close these deals.
Yeah. So why is it, and I like that analogy, why is your industry or why is your business like that and the airline industry isn't?
That's a great question. I'm probably going to give a terrible answer. I would say something along the lines of this. You assume that the pilot is highly trained and skilled and you're trusting them with your life. You know that there's a long-standing history with aviation being the safest form of transportation in the world now. And you buy your ticket with the expectation that you're going from Sydney to LA. You get on the plane, that's where you're going, and you get to your destination 99% of the time.
Exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah. Whereas with film production, content creation, you can look at the creator's work, their portfolio, and you know that they've done great work. However, what I find is that most clients, especially if they're a bit more analytical and they don't have that creative mindset, they really struggle to see the end visualization of what we're going to create for them. So I'll give you an example. We could have a client in the medical space and we could show them some amazing assets we've done for 3 or 4 different medical companies. And they're like, wow, these are amazing. And they do something really, really similar and we're going to create something for them. You'll be having the conversation right up until, version 2 or version 3 of the edit. And then they're going, oh yeah, okay, now we see it. Now we see it. Yeah, we've already done pre-production. We've already filmed it. We've already done assembly edits. We've already done animation layers, et cetera, et cetera. So like 85, 90% of the work has already taken place. So there's a lot of trust. Every now and then we'll get a client that goes, you guys are the experts. You do your thing, but that takes time and trust. And we find that with our repeat customers, you get that more and more. But then also there's just customer personalities. Like me with my team, I very much trust them. I try to stand out of their way and I try to hire really, really great people or collaborate with really great contractors and freelancers, and I let them do their job. And I think there's a valuable lesson in there for business owners listening to this, particularly if they are in startup phase. Get out of your own way. Trust people to do things. And you're not running a proper business if you are the only person that can do the job in that business successfully. You've simply got a job. A great indicator if your business is running well, and I did have this at one stage, was I was able to take a holiday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, take a week off, take 2 weeks off.
If you can take 2 weeks off and everyone still gets paid and sales still come in the door and the thing doesn't burn to the ground, then you've got a proper business. If you can't take a 2-week holiday, you don't have a business yet.
That's it. I want to go back to the airline industry versus your business. If we think about it from a marketing perspective, the marketing funnel, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. There's marketing at each of those levels and everyone's fully aware and they know where they are in the journey. So there's information at each of those levels. And then they're purchasing a product. So like it's very, very easy to take them on that journey and to purchase that product. We're saying your business, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel is patchy. And a lot of small businesses, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom funnel, very patchy, bits and pieces of information. And then the product is potentially only half developed or is only being developed when you're selling, because you're customizing to them.
Yeah.
So, and because of that, that's why it's a lot, as you were saying, a lot harder to sell and getting all of those extra questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And I think that's why it's important to keep things quite simple, especially in the early stages. Don't build for perfection, build for simplicity, roll it out and see if there's a market for it and see what appetite the market's got.
yeah,
And then you can build it more robust once you've got clients on board paying subscriptions or paying, for the service or product.
we had a conversation last week around lead generation before we got on this podcast, and I said, yeah, cool, we can. It's easy enough to get lead generation tactic running, but to get conversions is going to be a lot more harder because we need to know product, who we're selling to, what's our niche, we wide, are we narrow. It's not just let's go and contact 1,000 people type thing. It is.
Yeah. I think, it's knowing what to offer as well.
Yep. What to offer, who to offer it to, and when. So you've been on your journey. You've had your highs, you've had your lows. You've had times where it's been amazing. There's been times probably where you've wanted to quit, kind of thing. What's the biggest piece of advice that you would want to give to another business owner?
I would say it's very important that you're checking in with yourself and your happiness. And are you truly aligned? Are you flogging a dead horse? If something's not working, is it time to exit and break free and look for
There's no
something
shame in
else?
that either.
Not at all. Not at all. Life's too short, man.
Yep.
Life is too short. And without going into fine details, but I understand the importance of health at my young age. I've been exposed to some stuff. And what really matters is not money in the bank. It's the people you surround yourself with. It's how you're spending your day. And one yardstick that I use is every day I wake up, am I happy? Am I making the most of my day? And 99% of my day, I'm doing exactly what I want to do, and I'm very fortunate for that. But also if you truly want to grow something really successful, you need to learn fast because your competition is learning faster than you. You don't need to be the best. You do not need to be the best, but you need to stick it out. And there will be ups and downs. And I know people very close to me that have made $15, $20 million a year, highly profitable, like the success that most people want, like the cars, the houses, the boat, like anything, you can write blank checks. I know quite a few people like that. And they have all said the same thing to me as well. When we have our dinner, it's money comes and money goes. Money comes and money goes.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, money's not going to matter. It's a memory.
Nope. I thought I was on my deathbed last year in March. I was raced to the ED several times. And I thought I was having a heart attack. And, I can tell you the last thing I was thinking about was work and the sales call that I was actually on it wasn't a sales call. It was like it was a business, someone had outreached from us and they were like a big company. Like they were connected with and affiliated with Netflix and a few other streaming services. They were like a distributor, an aggregator distributor, and they'd reached out to us. And I never forget exactly where I was standing. I was like in a boat harbor pier looking out to the ocean. It was a morning. And all of a sudden I felt my heart do this really strange stuff. And I thought I was having a heart attack. Called an ambulance. Ambulance arrived within like 5 minutes, which was fantastic. And I just got straight off that call. I said, I'm so sorry, I've got to go. And I had another colleague on the call that kind of took over it. And on that ride to the hospital, the only thing I was doing, apart from like trying to just hold it all together, was I was texting my family and the people that I care about.
Yep. That's all that matters.
Yeah. And I was like, you guys got to get up here. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got to remind ourselves to be present with the people that are around us.
Absolutely.
Like money helps, but it's not the be all and end all.
It's not the be all and end all. And the more you give, the more you get back. I think some of the most rewarding stuff that I do, and one of my missions with my work in general, is I'm so proud of how much money I've put in the pockets of other creatives. I don't think there's too many 40-year-olds my age that can say that they've put close to $3 million in the pockets of other creatives.
Yeah. So like you've helped other people on their lives and their journeys.
Absolutely. And that for me is super rewarding. And it's interesting. It's actually quite unrecognized work as well, Tristan, because like a lot of those people have gone on to do other things. Some of them I still collaborate with, like a bunch of them I still do. But the ones that have moved on, or, you know, where something hasn't quite worked out exactly the way, and maybe the break wasn't as smooth as ideally you'd want, a lot of them, because they're younger, they're, you know, quite quick to point the finger and they feel like a victim. But that's employee mindset. And when you employ people, you understand that there is a difference and it's lonely at the top and you're not going to make everyone happy. And the reason that you're the boss is because you're a leader, and leadership comes with making tougher decisions. It comes with being the bigger person and knowing when to just shut your mouth and just let the situation play out. And one day, it might take a year, it might take 5 years, will appreciate it and go, you know what? Shit, that actually did really well by me, or I really appreciate them.
Yeah. So to you, where to for you in the next couple of years?
I definitely have been putting effort into creating digital online products. That's definitely a big part of my future. Think probably looking at like doing a series or a show in something that really interests me. Like I love cooking. I'm a real foodie and I love to cook. And one of my favorite shows is Chef's Table. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So something along those lines, potentially. I've got a couple of scripts for movies that I need to write and develop. And see, in our industry, if you look at all the big names like Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, etc., they've all found their editor. And me as a producer, director, I dabble in writing. You need to have your editor. I feel like I found my editor now. I had my editor and then he moved on and went somewhere else. And we did a film, my actual first film that went to the cinema. He was the editor on that, which was really cool. But I think, it's in my game, you've got to find your tribe. And then once you find your tribe, then you can really turn the afterburners up and do stuff. So I know who I'd go to for my cinematography. I know who I'd go to for my post-production. I know who I'd go to for my color and VFX. So I think, that's where I'm at with that now. And now I want to build on that.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the fact that you're talking about needing your tribe. So we all need our tribe to learn and to grow with one another.
And to produce films, like, you know, of course you can like grab any little camera now and anyone could go make a movie, right? But, you know, we're talking like at a particular standard here. We're talking, you know, that would be put on Netflix, etc., played at the cinema. And that's the space that I play in.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a tiny bit different to the space that this podcast is recorded in. So,
but it's all content. It's all story. It's all story, isn't it?
That's it. So, mate, it's been a pleasure talking. If people want to get in touch, what's the best way to connect?
You could contact me through the website, skievideo.com. And my handle on all social media, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, etc., is at camwatt, WATT.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Tristan. Great job on the show.
Thanks. That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into The Growth Equation. If you've enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It helps us big time. Catch you next time. And if you want more, head over to evolvetogrow.com.au for show notes and exclusive content.